So this movie, when it came out in America, it was heavily marketed as this is what you get. Jackie Chan is doing his own stunts. He doesn't need a stunt man. What you see is really happening. Hey, and welcome to Glaring Admissions. We're a show about watching and discussing iconic, seminal movies that one of us have missed before. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined today by my faithful co-host, Raekwon. And boy, do we have a movie for you. We're talking about 1995's Rumble in the Bronx, directed by Stanley Tong and starring Jackie Chan. So Raekwon, what's this movie about, dude?
This movie is about Kyung, a young cop from Hong Kong visiting his favorite uncle. And yeah, basically this store is getting harassed by a local biker gang and Jackie has got to beat them all up.
Yeah. I think the way I worded it right before we hit record is Jackie Chan comes to America and gets into some shit with a gang.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what that is. There's a moment that we were making fun of earlier where he acts so tough. He like takes off his jacket like this and he's like, "You got the guts, put the gun down."
This is where it ends, big shot. You got the guts? Drop the gun.
It's so ridiculous. I love it. And this was your first time watching this one, huh?
It is, yeah. First time watching the film that made Jackie's American career because he had a long career in China before this. So
yeah, he had been making films in China for, I want to say, like 2 decades. And then he finally broke through in America. This is like the 3rd or 4th time they tried to bring him to America, and it finally stuck. A joint production between Hong Kong and the US made anywhere, I think the budget was like 7 to 13 or 14 million bucks. And then it made like 75 million at the box office. So, you know, like it's a pretty big hit, all things considered. And the reason why I selected it as a glaring admissions, you kind of said it already, is this is the movie that made Americans aware of Jackie Chan. So it is seminal in a weird way, you know, even though it isn't really one of his best movies, especially if you watch the version that made him a star in America.
Yeah.
Like,
we were talking about that, how I said that the English dub is not as good of a movie as the Hong Kong cut, and
sure,
they cut out a lot of things in the English dub, the US cut.
Yeah, they chopped out like 15 minutes of the movie. And some of it, look, this is a common practice. I'll talk about this shortly, probably. But like some of that stuff was pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
They actually introduced like a bunch of plot holes into the movie. So in the Hong Kong cut, which I might call Red Bronx, that's what it was called in Japan. I figure Rumble in the Bronx, US cut, Red Bronx, Hong Kong cut, you know, just for clarity. But in Red Bronx, you already said it, like Jackie Chan's character Kyung is a cop. And he is not a cop in the American version.
Yeah.
He's just like a kung fu champion who's visiting his uncle in America. In the Hong Kong cut in Red Bronx, there's this whole subplot about Uncle Bill trying to get the fuck out of America, where he's like trying to get rid of his store and he's like deceiving the person buying it, who's named Elaine, and she's played by Anita Moy, who's like she's in several Jackie Chan movies. And all of this is absent from the US cut, where Uncle Bill is just like, "I'm respected in this area. Here, buy my store." And then he disappears and a gang like destroys the place 4 times.
Yeah. In the Hong Kong cut, Kyung is the one that makes the deal with Elaine. In the US cut, that is totally out of the movie.
It just happens.
They just are chit-chatting and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to buy the store." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool. If you want, I can stick around and help you for a bit." And that's like their conversation.
Yeah. So I think the point is that like the US cut is kind of butchered as far as like the plot making sense goes. Again, a lot of things just don't add up. There's a moment where one of the gang members, Tony, mistakenly calls Kyung the owner of the supermarket. And then like in the US cut, it doesn't make sense because they removed a scene that would explain why he believes that Kyung owns the place.
Yeah.
But we're getting way too into the nitty gritty about this. This is a Jackie Chan movie, by the way. Like, there's an argument to be made that it's better that the US cut this stuff because it's shorter and it's just sticking to the action, which is realistically why we're there to begin with. So I'm not saying that the US cut is better, but I am saying that, like, on some level, it makes sense that they cut stuff. But right off the bat, Raekwon, I can see the magic, even in the US cut. I get why people saw this and they were like, oh, fuck, we're going to just keep watching Jackie Chan movies now. I'm one of those people. I grew up on the US cut. So, you know, I get it.
So you grew up not grew up watching it, but you had saw this, you know, at a young age.
Grew up watching this. I have a VHS that my dad like taped off of TBS in the 90s.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's cool.
I grew up watching this movie.
So question for you, where does this rank? I know you already said it's not one of his best movies. Is this like top 5 Jackie Chan movies or? Because
I don't know if it's top 5. Yeah, first off, there's like a million of them.
Yeah.
So I can't off the top of my head, but maybe top 10, where the movie doesn't do anything like that spectacular. There's no like Police Story stunt where he slides down an electrical pole and burns all the skin off his hands or anything, you know? It's not like Armor of God where he's like skydiving and he lands on like a hot air balloon at the end. Yeah. But it has a really good stunt or two. I like the building jump he does. I like the jet skiing kind of hovercraft stunt. But the rest of the movie's kind of okay. I like the choreography for the fights. For this podcast, I watched the movie like 3 times. And the first 2 were like real watches. One was of Red Bronx. The second was of Rumble in the Bronx. And the third cut was like 50-50. And I was doing other stuff. But, you know, I like all the choreography. I think it's good. I like the music. Yeah, top 10.
Nice. Okay.
How about you? I know you're a Jackie Chan guy too. So like, my question.
Yeah, and
I'm throwing that shit right back at you.
Yeah, a little bit of stolen valor with the Jackie Chan guy claims. I mean, I love Jackie Chan, but like most, I think, Americans, my exposure to Jackie Chan was Rush Hour. And it's like, okay, anything after that is like, I love Jackie Chan now. Seen him in other stuff, but haven't seen a lot of his movies, especially the ones from the 80s, you know, so like
I'm pretty sure all of the 80s Jackie Chan you've seen is just me. Like, hey, you're gonna watch Armor of God tonight.
Yeah, I've seen that with you. I've seen or maybe like you just recommended it. I don't remember.
No, we watched it together. I remember. It was basically the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix meme where he's like holding the remote and pointing it at the TV and you're just watching it.
We're gonna hang out and watch a movie.
But I really enjoyed the movie more than I thought I would. I know that's like, I feel like I say that for a lot of our movies, but.
Well, so let's make this more interesting then, you know, let's put some money on this.
Okay.
You know, let's put a loaded revolver on the table and see what happens. So
all the bullets are
all the bullets are in. You're just nodding along like this motherfucker's crazy. I thought he was just saying that. Yeah.
It's like, this isn't how you play Russian roulette.
2025 has been a hard year. So no. Let's make it interesting because you can't even legally stream the Hong Kong cut of this movie. As of the recording of this on April 30th, 2025, you can't do that. The only way you can watch the Hong Kong cut, as far as I'm concerned, is by importing a copy of Red Bronx from Japan, which I almost did, but it doesn't come with US subtitles and I didn't feel like making them, or picking up a specific PAL release of the movie from Europe. So for all intents and purposes, unless you're willing to spend like $30 to $60 on importing a DVD, you are not watching the Hong Kong cut. So Raekwon, would you still recommend this movie? Would you say that you enjoyed this movie and that you see the appeal of it from just the US release that is readily available?
No, nah, probably not.
I think I just died a little inside. Holy shit.
Yeah, I would. I mean, because there's enough redeeming qualities about it. Not that I'm even shitting on it, but I don't love the US cut, but there's enough to like about this movie for me to say, yeah, you should watch that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, still a cool ass Jackie Chan movie.
It's kind of like an existential question, which seems to be a topic I've been touching on a lot today with you. But like, okay, you watch a Jackie Chan movie for the stunts and the action and all that kind of stuff. And then the Hong Kong cut removed, or the US cut removes most of that stuff that isn't the action. So technically, isn't the US cut better paced? Because like there's less time between the action scenes. It's kind of a weird thing. I'm not saying it's better for it, but it's weird. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that question for this movie because, like you said, do you really care about the plot and such? But I wonder some of the decisions that were made to cut are like you said it. The fact that he's a cop is like, that's kind of huge to his character.
It's
I think
really weird thing to cut.
Yeah. And he actually pretends to be police when he saves Nancy from what he thought was like her being assaulted, you know, and she fucking kneed him in the balls and had him set up. But they totally cut that. And then he's just like a guy that's super good at Kung Fu visiting his uncle.
First off, I thought regardless, I think the pretending to be a cop in that moment thing, if you're going to make a difference, you may as well. Like, it's not smart, but it made sense either way. The thing that tipped off that he should have been a cop in the US cut is when he's at Tony's hideout, like this weird abandoned factory where all of these bikers hang out and play pinball. Yeah. We'll get into that later. But who pays the electrical on this warehouse, by the way?
Yeah, 1 million refrigerators and pinball machines.
Yeah, that was another thing. It was just weird. But no, he should have been a cop because the second like their friend comes in and they're like, they killed what's his name?
Yeah,
oh my
Lance.
God. They killed Lance. Kyung comes back and he's like concerned and he's like investigating a little bit. And it's like, what are you doing? If you're visiting the US and then some crazy gang member walks in like, they killed a friend, man. I would just run. I would just be like, I do not want to get involved.
You know, I thought that too, because in the first time I watched it, he does he like turns around all dramatically like, did he just say someone got killed? But
my crime senses, they're tingling. Wait. Right. Yep, those are my crime senses.
Make sure it's the right tingling. It's like, hold on a second. All right.
Yeah, it's the crime senses. It's not the bloodlust. It might have been the bloodlust.
Nancy runs up to him. That's why he does go over there, because she's like, a friend of mine got murdered. And he's like, oh, okay. But he was already like, he already noticed before
he was already locked
she ran
in.
over.
Yeah. He was looking for an excuse to come back and like make it his fucking problem.
After he already whooped everyone's ass. That was before the
multiple
crazy
times
fight scene. Yeah. He's beaten these guys up like 4 times.
Well, that was the other thing that made it so funny to me, was just like, hey, these guys repeatedly have tried to kill you. Like every time you've run into them, they've been like Johnny's biker gang from Karate Kid. They're ready to kill him. It's literally, there are so many weird parallels between this and the Karate Kid that it's insane. Tony and his gang are just Cobra Kai. A bunch of immature fucking assholes that keep attacking the new guy in town for no other reason than he's the new guy in town.
You look different. Get him.
See, that's like pretty charged in the case of Rumble in the Bronx, but you're not wrong.
Tony, I was starting to quote him before we started recording, but Jesus Christ, man. In the English dub, it's just really bad. At least in the Hong Kong cut, you get to hear the American actors' real voices. In the English dub, though, I don't know what that guy would, I don't know. They made him look like his performance was really bad, even though, you know, I mean, whatever you want to say is overacting in the first one.
Dude, I mean, the performances weren't great. We need to have a word about Nancy later on, because Nancy does not act. She just kind of says the lines. She just mumbles every line in the Hong Kong cut.
It's good money. What's wrong?
And the crying scene, the really, really sweet scene where Danny confides in Ki-young that sometimes, because he's in a wheelchair, Danny cannot use his legs. Of course.
Danny, no, I have something to say about it when you're done. That's why.
Okay. Danny tells Ki-young that he gets mad at himself whenever he sees kids playing at the park because he can't play with his sister the same way. And his sister comes out like, oh my God, comes to console him, and she's crying. That crying scene was woof, man. Just really bad.
Nancy, you're home. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Tell me why you're crying. I'm sorry.
And the dub of it is worse because it's just like some voice actor trying to simulate crying. She's like,
Nancy, you're home. Why are you crying? What's wrong?
Yeah, it's weird because she's performing, and the performance is technically better than on-set Nancy's voice. But she's so limited because she still has to match the lips. That's another thing worth noting. Did you pick up on Nancy is speaking English in the entire movie, even in the Hong Kong cut? She doesn't speak, she speaks I think 2 words in Cantonese in the whole movie. So she very clearly
And she understands it.
Yes. So she very clearly doesn't know Cantonese, and she's just speaking, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I want to get back to this scene. The thing I had to say about Danny is I was in the middle of writing a note about how much I appreciated that they didn't make the fact that Danny's in a wheelchair a huge point of the plot. I was writing that it was great that there wasn't a scene where Danny's like, I wish my legs worked, man. And then literally, while I was typing this shit, we got a scene where Danny's like, yeah, I wish I could use my legs. And I'm like, damn it. You were this good. You were this close to good representation. They need to make a Bechdel test for kids in wheelchairs talking about using their legs.
It's like they have to put it. If they have a kid in a wheelchair in a movie, he must hate the fact that he's in a wheelchair.
We're going to call it the Tiny Tim test.
Tiny Tim test. Any type of ailment, any type of disability. Your whole character is about how much it fucking sucks to have that disability, man.
You fail the test if that's the case. But also, I want to point out, I love Danny as a character. I love both versions of Danny. I love Dub Danny, though. Dub Danny just was like, he just hits it so right. The lines, the moment when he roasts Nancy, because for the whole movie, Danny is like, my sister is so pretty, Ki-young. You should date her, Ki-young. Ki-young, why don't you want to date my sister? And then the second we find out that Nancy is Danny's sister, he's like, see, isn't she pretty? Well, not right now.
And my sister Nancy, isn't she pretty? Oh, well, not right now.
Yeah. Sobbing because you made her cry with your
fucking sob story.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him, but I'm also I hate when movies get manipulative about that stuff.
But first time seeing Danny, though, last point about Danny, because...
I have one more point about Danny.
Okay, I was going to say, I do have something else, because you said that him being in a wheelchair, you thought that it wasn't going to be a major plot point or whatever. It did end up being that, but also...
Literally being a major plot point.
Yeah, actually, because...
Chekhov's wheelchair.
Chekhov's cushion.
Chekhov's cushion.
Somebody stole my cushion!
Anyway, no, the one thing about Danny I wanted to bring up is also Ki-young gives him a Sega Game Gear at one point, and there is not a game in that. There's no cartridge in the back, and they shoot it so you can see there's no cartridge.
Yeah, twice.
Why? Also, okay, Nancy has a line where she's like, did you spend our food money on that thing? I just want to point out the Sega Game Gear, famously horrible battery life. So yeah, he might have spent their rent buying AA batteries for that thing. It took 6 of them. Anyway.
I wonder why they added that. I guess just to show that Ki-young's a nice guy.
Make Danny think that Ki-young's cool. I don't know. You ever see the Game Boy Mom thing on YouTube or Instagram? That's what Ki-young is. Ki-young is the Game Boy Mom.
You've already been told about strangers dressing up in uniforms, but there are other traps you need to know about.
Hi, I'm just playing with my daughter's video game, but the batteries seem to be dead. I have some in my car. Why don't you come over and help me put them in?
Yeah. Little boy, can you load this couch into my car? Disturbing. But, okay, look. So I think we're in agreement. The US cut has, how you say, problems.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. We just did like a pretty solid amount of riffing about the US cut and the Hong Kong cut. So I think there's value to it. I still think if you're going to watch Rumble in the Bronx, other than the fact that it's kind of like historically significant insofar that it introduced Americans to Jackie Chan, pretty fun, bad movie right there. Like the US cut it teeters toward being a bad movie because the plot makes zero sense. But like the dub is hilarious. The soundtrack is not as good as the Hong Kong one, but not terrible necessarily. And I don't know. I'm a sucker for just like badly dubbed movies, I think. I think that's just like my critical weakness.
So Tony was your favorite character then?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Or Angelo's, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna die!
Which is delivered exactly like that.
Yeah. The dubbing of the other gang members is crazy too. Like when they're leaving, the gang members all say something as they're walking away. They're like, I'm out of here, man. Screw you, bud. Like just a bunch of just random shit. It's like, why does everyone have to get a little word in?
Yeah. No, I feel you on that one. I love it though. It's so endearing to me. I love that little thing. I think what it is Jackie Chan movies, even when their stories make sense, they don't make that much sense, you know? So just kind of ratcheting up the corniness is almost like the best thing you can do. Like, I like the idea of Anita Moy's character Elaine trying to get rid of the shop. I like the scene of her like trying to stick up to people who are trying to hustle them out of protection money, and then she gets like punched in the face. I think that stuff's funny.
Move it!
But I don't necessarily miss it either. And also, it's not like, look, let's be real. It's not like the Hong Kong cut is like some sterling piece of cinema. There's a scene where Jackie goes to the store, sees it's being robbed by Tony's gang, calls the cops. They're about to fight. They run away because the cops get there. And then the very next scene is Jackie just walking down the street and running into them again.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, I'm kind of like, yeah, that edit made sense. Or the change to remove the fact that Jackie Chan has a girlfriend in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Good change.
That's a small one. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You know.
In the Hong Kong cut, he's just straight up cheating on his girlfriend because Nancy like throws herself at him. And then in the American cut, it's just like an awkward moment where she's like, do you have a girlfriend? And then she kisses him before he can even answer.
He's like, and then she kisses him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wonder if the was just dubbing over like him going,
yeah. He says yes. He says yes in Hong Kong. And I think he says it in English. And
he says it yes in Hong Kong. And then she's like, I like your answer. And then she kisses him. And it's like, oh, they're just into it.
Yeah. Because I texted that to you because it's like, she just kissed him anyway. like, I have a girlfriend in Hong Kong. He's like, I like honesty. Kisses him. like,
I like your honesty. Plunges him into dishonesty by making him cheat.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? You're a good person. I'm going to make you a bad person right now. You're going to stoop down to my level. I'm a fucking biker gang chick.
Also, the biker gang. Raekwon, we need to talk about the biker gang. They're just middle schoolers.
Yeah. So, okay. One thing, every time we do glaring admissions, I watch the movie for myself once or twice. And then I'm like, okay, so what do other people think about this? And some reviewer said that the biker gang was so diverse, it would give like a photographer a wet dream or something like that. I was like, yo.
Actually, I had a note about that too.
It's like there's every color of the rainbow in that biker gang. And what do they even do? They are just like roaming the streets and robbing people and shit like that. It's like, yeah, this is 1995 and only one of them had a gun.
You are all garbage.
Well, and their leader's the one with the gun. He was the only one with like a steady enough job, I guess, to like afford one.
Yeah, he's the leader. And Tony's working a 9 to 5.
Tony, like their hangout is clearly like Tony's refrigerator business, and he just lets them hang out there during the day. In exchange, they have to carry the refrigerators to trucks when there's a shipment going out or some shit. Like,
Tony, known biker gang criminal in the mean streets of the Bronx in 1995.
The Bronx, Vancouver. Sorry, get it right.
Yeah, the Bronx, this is New York with mountains, Nick. This isn't Vancouver.
Learn your fucking geography, Nick.
This is the other New York.
This is New York, Vancouver, yeah.
Tony explicitly says in the movie he doesn't deal with cops. Tony gets into some real shit at some point, goes into witness protection, and they're like, all right, what do you want your new identity to be? He's like, I really like refrigerators. Tony is Bob Vance from Vance Refrigeration. That's Tony.
I'm fixated on the sentence, I really like refrigerators.
I really love refrigerators. Yeah.
It's like a exposure therapy to him. He had a little brother that locked himself in the refrigerator as a kid. He dedicated his life to refrigerators, to just selling safer refrigerators so that no child ever gets trapped inside of one again.
And he must have just relived his nightmare when he saw Jackie like throw several of his gang members and punch them unconscious into a refrigerator.
It's that new Kings of Leon meme that's been going around where it's just in slow motion as someone's getting skill checked. And you just hear, I've been rolling around, da 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 da. Tony, as he's watching this, he's watching open-mouthed in horror, and then he's just like, what are you doing?
Hell do you think you're doing?
So, what were we talking about before refrigerators? Oh, right. The gang is just a bunch of like crazy hopped up on sugar preteens as far as I'm concerned. Like they're what a preteen thinks being tough is. And that isn't hyperbole. I actually was like reading the news earlier today, and there was a news story about like a middle schooler. Apparently he was like beating up a 5-year-old kid in front of his house for like several minutes. This was just in the news today. Yeah, 5-year-old kid is getting the shit beat out of him by someone twice his age. And other than the abject horror that I read this in, I like took a step back and then I was like, yeah, this is kind of the gang in Rumble in the Bronx. Like they're literally just like ganging up on Jackie Chan because he doesn't want them to shoplift.
Yeah. And
not just ganging up, they like nearly kill him.
And I get that because that's like it does seem like they're so young, because that's like, I've seen kids do bullshit like that, but in like high school and middle school of just going like shoplifting and fucking
that's the age
assholes.
When your brain is literally mush from hormones, and it's like, okay, I'm not like saying it's okay, but I get it.
Yeah.
You're a stupid ass teenager. These guys are like 30. Jackie is 40 in this movie, so we can even infer that some of them might be closer to his age.
Which kind of leads me to be like, I'm switching over to Angelo's side now. It's like, guys, are we a gang or are we just fucking around here? Like, let's fucking kill this guy. All we do is steal candy.
All we do is steal candy. Dude, he was the one stealing candy.
Yeah, right. All we do is steal candy and sip sodas out of grocery stores. I'm tired of this shit.
What are we doing?
Like, they're trying to move like the Italian mob, but no one has the initiative or the fucking gumption. They're like fucking extorting random local businesses and stealing and shit. It's like, yo, you give us money, we'll protect you. It's like, they're not even protecting any. They're not even like a real gang. Protect us from
who? Us?
Yeah, from themselves.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. Also, I love the fact that this gang is just like so clearly a hodgepodge of different minorities, in large part due to Jackie Chan's stunt team. Did you pick up on that? During the fights, all the people that are actually fighting Jackie, they tend to be Asian.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, the great example is their first fight at the convenience store. It's one of the guys who is a part of Jackie's stunt team, the one who speaks Cantonese in the movie.
Yeah.
He is getting he's getting the shit beat out of him by Jackie.
Yeah.
And then Angelo, the only white person in the gang, by the way, when it's his turn to fight Jackie, he runs away and runs face first into a pole. Not the only instance. There's another one where like they're swinging bats at Jackie and stuff, and they only get like 1 or 2 swings in before Jackie like throws them to the side or dodges. Where it's like, okay, we need you to fight him, but you can't actually fight him. He will kill you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the appeal of this to me too, on some level. Again, like the pleasure I derive from Jackie Chan movies is watching these choreographed fights. And when you see the choreography just like devolve into nothing or like become significantly worse in the span of 10 seconds, it's, I don't know, it like lights a part of my brain up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I didn't make that connection, but when you said that, I thought about the parking garage fight scene and how they show how one guy ends up like against the wall and Jackie does like the multiple punch thing to him. It's like that was definitely an Asian dude or like someone who looked, he was in like, or no, that was that the Native American guy?
It might have been the Native American guy.
There was one Native American dude, but he was dressed as like a Native American guy.
Yeah, and also funny you mentioned that. First off, that's a great scene. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. My buddies and I in high school did our own version of that chase, where when Jackie's climbing the parking garage from outside, we did our own version where we jumped through a parking garage inside. But like we did our own version of that as kids. And I love there's a detail where when he's climbing, there's a guy outside who misses his mark.
Really?
So yeah, there's a pedestrian that's walking and you can clearly tell that he didn't hear them call action because he's like stopping. He looks up, sees Jackie climbing, and then he starts walking. And it's like a 2-second cut in the movie.
Wow. I didn't notice that.
This is what watching the same movie 3 times in a week will do to you, man. I now taste colors and I see sounds. But yeah, that whole sequence, also you can tell when it's clearly a Jackie stunt team guy, when they're chasing him on the motorbikes, they're wearing helmets because they want to hide that it's probably someone that's, you know what I mean, doing something else during the scene already.
So we were going to talk about the stunts.
Yeah, let's get into it.
One thing that I thought was cool was the fact that the director, Stanley Tong, was like a stunt performer or whatever. But he is famously known for doing the stunts before he asked other actors to do them. He broke his ankle. This is Stanley Tong broke his ankle doing a stunt for another movie. But in this movie, Jackie actually broke. Jackie suspects, this is from an interview about the movie. He said that he thinks that he fractured it or something doing the famous building jump where he jumps from one rooftop into a building, but then he fully breaks his ankle when he's jumping onto the hovercraft. And you can see it in the behind the scenes footage stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's funny you mentioned that Jackie broke his ankle and Stanley Tong broke his ankle doing a different movie. Because, they're not even the only ones to like break a leg, by the way, filming this. The actor for Nancy broke her leg doing her motorcycle stunt when she's driving over cars. I'm surprised they didn't get a stunt person to do that. Because she's literally wearing like a helmet in the scene. And then 2 other stunt performers also broke their leg filming this movie. So
that's crazy.
Dude, it's because they did Chekhov's wheelchair. It's like saying Macbeth in a theater. You don't do Chekhov's wheelchair.
You just don't. It's just taboo.
You don't, guys. What are you doing?
What the hell do you think you're doing?
What are you doing?
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Sorry.
People are going to get so angry by the end of this video. I'm just going to keep cutting to that fucking
or the stop in the English dub. All right, stop.
Hold it! Stop!
And another English dub, fumble or whatever you want to call it, when Jackie or Kyung is in the car with Uncle Bill on the way to the store, He's like, oh, this is a really nice area. He's like, yeah, this is Manhattan. He's like, oh, is your store around here? He's like, no, my store is in the Bronx. He says it so hard.
He hits it so hard. It's so good.
My store's in the Bronx.
My store's in the Bronx.
They gotta hit it hard in the English dub. It's like, no, my store's in the Bronx. Hip hop music starts playing.
My market's in the Bronx.
I think what makes that so much funnier in my head is it after he says that, doesn't it like smash cut to someone being chased by cops through the Bronx?
Yeah, it does.
Literally just NWA starts playing like fuck the police blares. On the note of that, I do want to get into one thing I appreciated in Red Bronx. The movie has a theme in the Hong Kong version. In a rare display for a Jackie Chan movie, there's actually a theme. Did you pick up on it by any chance, or do I get to be the guy who decides to overanalyze a Jackie Chan movie alone?
No, you get to be the guy that overanalyzes Jackie Chan movie.
Say it with such spite in your voice.
I say it because you want to be the guy.
It's not that I want to be the guy. It's that I want to be the guy. So anyway, no, the theme is fucking racial harmony of all things. Like when Uncle Bill is driving Kyung to the Bronx, he's like talking to him and he's like, yeah, man, you know, in America, you got to keep your head down. People are going to come at you and you just got to remain tough. He says something to that effect.
He says you got to mind your own business.
Yes, that's what he says. And there's this repeated message in the movie, like when Kyung is surprised that Uncle Bill is marrying like a black woman. He's like, don't be so surprised, you know? The only way that things will get better is if we all get along. One day we'll all be mixed race. Something to that effect. It's crazy because it's like, wow, hey, this is a theme and this gets seen through to the conclusion of the movie. Like Tony's gang, this multiracial thing, they get along with Kyung at the end. It doesn't make any sense that they do, by the way. Like at the end, when they're chasing Mr. White down, that was the other thing. I love that, the hovercraft full of minorities and people that have been like put down in society are literally chasing down a guy named Mr. White. Holy shit. Okay, subtle. Yeah, it gets seen through to its conclusion. It is a proper theme. Jackie has to team up with these people he has these disagreements with, and they get along. And to quote Jackie in the movie, they sit down for tea, kinda.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting how that happens. Also,
I did appreciate that though. The line that you mentioned, I did like that a lot. I was like, oh, that was kind of nice. And then Jackie it doesn't allude to anything about him being prejudiced or anything. He's just surprised that his uncle's marrying a black woman.
Yeah.
And then you see how fast it flips. And I was overanalyzing that part because I was like, that was kind of heavy for this movie, right? And then shortly after that, his Uncle Bill's fiance comes up to Jackie. She's like, "Ooh, look at your muscles! Like, I wish your Uncle Bill had your muscles, and you're handsome too." And he's like, "Thank you." And he's like, He's like, she ain't so bad after all. But it wasn't even like for a black woman, she's not so. It's just
it wasn't even like prejudiced.
Yeah, it was just like, she's not. She's a good lady, you know. And I was overanalyzing that, and I was like, what do you think was going through the head of that character for her to do that? Just being like, I know he's probably kind of standoffish right now, and probably not used to. Like
it was an icebreaker to her, probably.
Yeah,
right?
It was like a nice little icebreaker, and it fucking worked. And it's like it could be that simple right there, but you kind of see how in sync those two are. Uncle Bill and his fiance, I don't remember her name, because it was that simple for him too. He's just like, don't be so close-minded. One day we'll all be one color. And his wife's like, you know what? You're handsome. You got muscles. You are with me. And he's like,
also, I appreciated that they see that through. They don't just say it. They like actually demonstrate it at the wedding. They have her sing a traditional Chinese song with her new husband.
Yeah. Yep.
In the Hong Kong cut. They removed that shit from the US cut.
And it wasn't just for laughs.
No, it was just a straight up like musical number halfway, like 20 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciated that. I thought it was nice. And again, from the perspective of somebody watching this movie looking for fight scenes and action, yeah, maybe it doesn't make sense, but I respected it. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah. That was good. That was cool.
There's a multiculturalism to the Hong Kong cut that I do really appreciate. Like the Hong Kong cut is, in my opinion, I think it's like a solid 8 out of 10 movie. And then I think the US cut is like 7, 6.5, still worth it with a like on Letterboxd. And no, but the Hong Kong cut has like the last thing I expected from it, which is this like open multiculturalism. The movie is predominantly in Cantonese, but there's like an in-universe reason for that, right? The beginning of the movie, Jackie gets in the car and Uncle Bill's like, how's your English? And he's like, it's good for little things.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally speaks Cantonese and like the language barrier is a thing in the movie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is right after he beats up Tony's gang for the first time. And then the employees at the supermarket are like, how did you do that? And the one guy is like,
right, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. The most 80s guy in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
Joe, you were just like, whoa, you know, like that shit. Mm-hmm. And how'd you do that? And Jackie just replies, that's Chinese Kung Fu. And then because he can't speak English, he like explains it to Elaine in Chinese. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was really cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
How'd you do something? I was like,
That's Chinese Kung Fu. 中國功夫咧，臨陣對敵最緊要定。
Also, speaking of Elaine, I wanted to talk about her, the late, great Elaine. Yeah. What's her name again? Anita
Moy.
Anita Moy. Was it racist that I said Lee?
I was choosing to believe it was because I did some great ass Bruce Lee sounds. Was it not?
That's
Are you just a
what
bigot?
It was.
Gonna need a fucking thank you note in the morning for saving your ass right now.
Goddamn. Anyway,
really quick, in high school, my friends and I were in a rock climbing class together. It was like Mike, our friend Austin, our friend Ritwick. We used to do Bruce Lee sounds whenever we'd like do really big climbs. Like we'd skip a stone or two that we shouldn't. Also, same thing happened in tennis senior year. Every time I'd hit the ball, I'd go, whooka!
I bet they loved you.
My friends did. I was pretty good at tennis and pickleball in high school, man. So I think they hated me, but who cares? Like, I was fucking winning.
They hated you. You were winning and doing fucking Bruce Lee sounds. They're like, this fucking guy.
This fucking guy, what's his secret? And then they just see my ass on the other side of the court like, be water, my friend. Be water.
Anyway, speaking of Elaine, I thought her performance was awesome. I think she was the best performance in the movie.
Dude, Anita Moy's got the goods. I think I mentioned earlier she's in several Jackie movies, and she's a scene stealer in all of them. She was in Miracles, which I just saw for the first time in like 25 years, literally this weekend. Super good in it. First off, go watch Miracles if you haven't seen it. It's also known as the Canton Godfather. It's literally just, it is the 1930s in China, and Jackie Chan is in charge of the mob. She is amazing in it. She plays like his girlfriend, and she's a singer, and she's such a good comedic relief character. She's also fantastic in Drunken Master 2 as Jackie Chan's stepmom. So
that's funny.
Good stuff. May she rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
She was great in this too. She stole every scene. I actually wrote a note down where I was like, she has like palpable chemistry with Jackie Chan in this. The scene when they're like closing the shop and he's like helping her put down the shutters. I was genuinely like invested in them getting together, and they just don't.
Yeah, what the fuck? He just gets with the fucking 21-year-old biker chick. Fuck her. She like
she fucking tried to kill him.
Yeah, like what the heck, man? And Elaine is like, it would have been maybe too, not even. I was gonna say maybe it would have been too cliche for Elaine and Jackie to get together.
Who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
it's a Jackie Chan movie,
and that isn't even like a thing that I think they're worried about for this movie, because they were trying to break into America with this movie, you know.
This movie is a safe movie, all things considered. So I feel like getting with Elaine would have made more sense. And, you know, I think it stings a little more because in true Hong Kong movie fashion, by the way, the movie just kind of ends. Literally, it ends with, hey, we saved our friends from the gang members, which we haven't even talked about yet. The other gang members.
The other gang. The white gang.
The white gang. We're not being cheeky. But like the movie ends with them just like running over Mr. White in the hovercraft and then being like, yeah. That's it. Freeze frame.
And the Hong Kong cut, they do Elaine a disservice too, post the store getting trashed, because in the in the English dub, in the Hong Kong cut, she actually has a good monologue at the end there, like really good.
Yeah, when
like,
the store was destroyed, right?
Yeah, she's like, you know, you even told them that you were the boss of the store. I shouldn't be mad at you. I should thank you for your friendship. You agreed to help me and all this other shit. Like just a lot of really heavy things. Versus in the US one, she's just like, you weren't here because you were out on a date. And she just seems like a jealous person.
How would she know, like, by the way? That's another thing. Yeah,
true. Well, Nancy was outside, but how would she know that he was on a date? I guess. Yeah, true. But still, yeah, they just kind of lessened her character. They took away some of her comedy, and then they took away the monologue too. So
right. Yeah, and that's kind of, I think that gets back to what we were saying. Not that she had much to do in the original cut. She's kind of like in the first third of the movie, and then she's like intermittently in the rest of it. She's just a comic relief character, and they stripped everything down to the scenes that need to be there to move the story forward.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Yeah. She was great in it. Thankfully, we have her performances in Miracles, which I genuinely think Miracles might be my current favorite Jackie Chan movie.
Whoa.
Like, it's so good, dude. It's literally a remake of two Frank Capra movies. And you know, I'm already like a huge Frank Capra nerd. And it's two Frank Capra movies. It's a little bit of The Godfather. It's a Jackie Chan movie. It has like an emotionally satisfying story. It's like the only Jackie Chan movie off the top of my head where I give a shit about the story and the characters. Shinjuku Incident might count also, but I also haven't seen that movie in like 15 years, so I have to rewatch it at some point. But
when did Miracles come out? What year?
89.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of nuts. And yeah, I mean, you need to watch that one next, honestly. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a thing. And she's like the only actor that I feel like brought the goods as an actor in this movie. Jackie too, but Jackie, like, he brings the goods in a different way. The guy's leaping off of buildings and stuff. So, you know, one thing I want to bring up briefly while we're on the subject of Jackie's performance is if you watch the Hong Kong cut, I appreciate that his English isn't great and that they address it in the movie. They don't make fun of him for it or anything. It's just like, hey, he's going to speak only a little English. But my favorite part is when he's talking to Mr. White on the phone. He tries to disguise his voice in the American cut.
Have you got my diamonds? Yes.
And then he starts speaking in his normal voice. Not the case in the Hong Kong one. He just speaks in normal Jackie voice. And then Mr. White doesn't realize that he's talking to a guy with a thick Chinese accent.
Have you got the diamonds?
Yes.
Which I found delightful. Yeah. One of those things.
I didn't notice that. Now that you say, yeah, that did happen. I didn't realize that he did that. Huh.
Which I think culturally, like, I think it makes sense. I don't know if they ever intended to use the location audio, which is what it sounds like they did in this movie, because there are a lot of instances where Jackie is speaking Cantonese and then Nancy understands him but speaks English.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, if Jackie doesn't know that much English, he won't understand everything Nancy says to him.
Mm.
Like in universe.
Yeah.
But this is like a normal practice. So a lot of Italian and Hong Kong films up until, I want to say maybe even the 2000s, what would happen is they would have actors from around the world in their productions. So to make things easier on set, they would just give everyone the script in their native language and have them speak their native language on set. Not the best way to do it, but that was one thing that happened. That's why if you look at like old Sergio Leone movies, you can actually see like Clint Eastwood is speaking English, but like everyone around him is speaking Spanish. They're speaking Italian, you know, it's just all dubbed over. And Jackie Chan movies were like that for ages too. I think I read somewhere it was because the cameras they used in Hong Kong were like older cameras. So they were just like big, they were loud. And in order to get the kind of dynamic camera movement you would want from such a movie when it's, you know, a Jackie Chan film, it might have just made more sense to like shoot with sound for reference, but then just re-record it anyway. So now that I have that out of the way, we can do what you wanted to do, which is talk about the White Gang.
The White Gang.
Again, non-derogatory. Please put the word.
No, derogatory.
No, not. It's 2025, man. We can't.
It's white, spelled Y-T. The White Gang.
It's White Stallions from
It's
Bill and
the
Ted.
Whites.
You know what? It really is Bill and Ted. The gang in Tony's gang in this movie is just a bunch of Bill and Ted fans. They're wild stallions. So this gang,
yeah,
the White Gang.
The White Gang. Okay, not the biker gang, the White Gang. So while Jackie is dealing with, or Kyung, I keep calling him Jackie. Jackie Chan's so
Dude,
cool.
that's the rule.
We're on a first name basis with Jackie. Never met him before.
Well, no. Also, most of the Miramax, not most, but a lot of the Miramax releases of Jackie Chan movies literally changed his name to Jackie or Jackie Chan. Like, I'm pretty sure in The Accidental Spy, not a good movie, by the way, I'm pretty sure his character's name in the film, in the American release, is Jackie Chan.
That's when you're cool. You get to just keep your name, dude. You keep your stage name. You are Jackie Chan.
But yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna make this whole point about like, this is just what I'm getting at. We don't watch these movies for the plot because we can't even remember the character's name.
Yeah,
Like,
facts. You know.
So you were talking about the gang.
Yeah, the White Gang. Kyung is dealing with the biker gang, and along the way, they just literally just walk up on like a live robbery. There's two Jamaican dudes, super stereotypical Jamaican guys, end up crashing their car. They end up crashing the car. The biker gang and Jackie and Danny, for some reason, they keep running into these motherfuckers. They like live on the same block. And
it's like a play where they only have enough room for like one street set. So everything has to happen on the same street.
These guys live on fucking Sesame Street, dude. They see each other on the same block every day. You know? And the biker gang happen to see this go down, and they're like, "Oh, let's go check it out." And they get the diamonds. The White Gang is apparently, they don't really say, but they just allude to them being this organized crime.
They're like a syndicate of some kind. They're the mob.
Yeah, they're the mob. Yeah. They're acquiring these fucking diamonds. And so enter this actual legit crime organization while Jackie's also dealing with the biker gang. But the only reason the biker gang is still involved in this at all is because of Angelo and one of the other fucking lackeys from the biker gang take the diamonds from the crime scene, and now the White Gang is looking for the biker gang.
Yeah, the White Gang literally just pops into this from a different movie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're like so much more hardcore than ever. They literally fed a person into a wood chipper at one point.
Yeah.
And I have a note about the guy who comes back crying about Lance dying. I don't think I've shared it yet.
I think we did. I think we may have talked about it already. Maybe.
Well, what was it? What was it?
The way that he said help when he came in.
No. It was about his appearance.
Oh, okay.
I wrote, and I'm quoting, Latino Spike Lee thriller era Michael Jackson looking motherfucker.
Latino Spike Lee. Oh my God. Jesus.
But you see it, right? Like he looks like Mookie from Do the Right Thing, kind of.
He really does.
With a little bit of Michael from Thriller in there.
He does. Wow, that's crazy. I love when he walks in with the fucking bag of his friend's remains. He's like, help.
They killed Lance, man. Dude, I just want the deleted scene of him carrying his dead buddy just like through the street.
That could have been cool.
Cool. I don't know about cool. I'm thinking like I want to find stock video of a person dragging a garbage bag outside, and I want to put like comedic tuba music and then sobbing under it.
Boom, 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 boom. He's like, fuck. When he comes back in, the thing that he says to them when he's like, help, help, he's like, it was the guys in the limousine, man. It was terrible. Like, it was terrible. You saw your fucking friend get fed into a wood chipper.
He led with,
it was bad, guys. It was real bad.
Well, it's not even, oh my God, they threw my buddy in a wood chipper. It's they put us in a limousine.
Yeah.
Oh, it was horrible. What was wrong with it? Dude, what was wrong with the limo? Did they not have complimentary water? It was, no, they didn't actually. I thought that was really weird. Lance! My dumbass would actually do that, by the way. If, God forbid, if something happened to you or John and I'm like sobbing about it, I would stop to point out, I thought it was weird that they didn't offer water.
Lance hates still water. All they had was still water in the limousine.
Where was the spring water? You had a limo, but no spring water?
You know, but I will say about that guy, the guy that survived the white gang, his performance wasn't bad during the torture scene.
He was good.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. It's literally like he did what he could with the script and it was good.
Yeah. And then the English dub killed any momentum that he had by saying, help, help. It was the limousine, guys. It was terrible. Like, what happened?
They've been driving on a spare tire for weeks.
It's like, they're like looking out the door. Did they drop you off? Where'd they go?
What is wrong with this? Oh, it's a stretch Hummer. Oh. Would you look at that? You guys probably stopped for gas. Yeah. Unleaded.
You know how much Lance loves the environment.
Yeah, he was
loved. Sorry, he's dead.
Lance offered to switch to an Uber.
God damn.
Yeah, he was good. And look, this is the least of the movie's problems. There are so many little things that, like the ball pit stunt. That was a fun stunt, by the way. When they push the car off the building, but other than the fact that like, what is a car doing on the top of a building with a bunch of like balls? Like what is that doing there?
And another English cut killer here. The guy in the truck. I actually thought his delivery of his line was really funny in the Hong Kong version because they use his real voice. He's like, hey, what the hell are you doing in my truck?
Hey, what the hell are you doing in my truck?
But in the English version, he's like, it's some other guy, and he's like, what are you doing in my truck? It's like, God damn, dude.
Around here somewhere. What the hell are you doing in my truck?
It's so weird. Especially in a movie like Rumble in the Bronx, where like a notable portion of the movie is in English. Why redub it? Yeah, why redub those lines at least?
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's just a strange thing. Maybe there's like some copyright reason. Maybe it's like, oh, if we don't change enough of the movie, like the royalty rate isn't good on it, or I don't know. But yeah, lots of weird changes. Even like some of the more minute soundtrack changes. I thought, okay, movies have different soundtracks. The American soundtrack is very forcibly Chinese. They put in like a lot of like Chinese sounding music to make it like, oh yeah, this is a movie from the East, guys. He is coming to you from China. I actually had a note that the beginning of this movie, the music of the airplane, the music that played when he was coming to America sounds like music that would play in like a training montage in The Karate Kid, even, I think. I'm not kidding when I say that. It's kind of weird. It's very forcibly like, this is from Asia.
Yeah.
And in the Hong Kong cut, we have a much better soundtrack. It's a lot funnier. They have like this really great incidental music for the comedic scenes. They have my favorite addition to the movie's music, which is this very bluesy guitar that's like heavily distorted and stuff anytime there's like a confrontation, and it literally just sounds like it was plucked out of Lethal Weapon. I texted you yesterday and I was like, you can literally hear Danny Glover as Murtaugh screaming, Riggs! Riggs! And it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then they have music that shouldn't have been swapped. When Jackie visits Nancy at the club, and Kyung goes there, they're playing this club music that has English lyrics. And it's super over the top and super silly. And then they just replaced it with super generic music in the American release.
Yeah.
No lyrics. Also, there's a band playing at this club that does not look like they're playing the same genre of music.
Yeah.
Clearly like playing metal or something, and then they replace it with like club music.
You know, in someone's video pointing out like the goofs in this movie, the band was one of those things because there's a trombone player or something in the band. And that band is the same band from the end of the movie when they're having like a beach party.
Oh, they are, yeah.
It's the same exact band.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that. Interesting. One thing I want us to talk about, I want to make sure we talk about before I forget, and then we need to go back to the stunts a little bit because there's some stuff I need to bring up. But this movie, pretty good on like not being exceptionally racist at points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly better than Rush Hour, which I recently rewatched with my dad, and holy shit.
Yeah.
Movie is how you say a nightmare as far as race goes. But there is one point in this movie that was like pretty offensive. And then it segued into me realizing that this movie has some pretty decent Chinese propaganda in it, at least in the Hong Kong cut. So the moment where I'm like, oh, look, it's offensive, it's when Jackie teams up with the police at the end of the movie and they're putting the wire on him. And do you remember what he says when he's testing the wire?
No.
He says, testing, here comes Ahab the Arab.
I didn't know. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, okay. That's a choice.
Jackie says that?
No, the cop says it.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was weird because like we're talking about this movie and we're talking about how the movie's like about these minorities kind of like butting heads, and then they team up to literally fight a gang called White Tiger at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the incompetent police officer, and the cops are so incompetent in this movie. That's part of the propaganda, right? It's like the opposite of copaganda. It's like the Hong Kong film community was just going, oh no, the cops are useless. Jackie Chan has to do it because he's a Hong Kong cop and he's better.
Super cop.
Super cop, literally. Also directed by Stanley Tong, by the way. So that was that. And then it got me thinking about like propaganda in general in this movie. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the cops are very like belligerent about this is how we do things in America. You're going to do it our way and we're going to save your friends. And then like everything they do fucks up. One of them literally gets shot because he's too busy putting his cigar in his mouth to shoot the person he's like chasing.
Yeah.
You know,
the same one that the cop scolded about having the cigar earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends with the American cops allowing Jackie to commandeer a stolen vehicle to run over the villain. And when they're like, so what's the official reason we're doing this? Like, what happened for real? Oh, Mr. White's goons took over the vehicle. Okay.
Unit 3, what's the official reason for this ride?
Because White Tiger's hoods have control of the thing.
Unit 3, copy.
And it's like, oh, okay, so we're just doing like corrupt cop storylines now.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of interesting. You see how, oh, this movie from Hong Kong was made to like bring Jackie to America. It was also to like subtly maybe,
shit on America a little bit.
Just kind of shit on America a little bit. Not enough that anyone might pick up on it or actually be offended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And look, it's still in the American cut, but it's kind of toned down a little bit because it's so cartoonishly over the top there that you can't really take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And Jackie running over Mr. White was, I didn't think it hit as hard just because he had already gotten run over by and he was fine. He's totally okay.
Yeah, he somehow, isn't it weird that Mr. White's clothes got completely shredded when that happened too? Yeah. That was the moment I realized that this movie, I think Oliver Harper calls it like a Saturday morning cartoon in his retrospective on it. I'd like to take that to the next level. Rumble in the Bronx isn't just a cartoon. It's an episode of South Park. The amount of like chaos is a South Park episode. Like, think about it. Jackie comes to town. This guy, this budget Johnny from Cobra Kai shows up. And he's like, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
And then they just beat the crap out of Jackie Chan. And then they go and they trash the store. And then they try to beat the crap out of Jackie Chan again. And then they trash the store again. And this goes on like several times. And then they're just friends at the end. And Jackie Chan beats the crap out of someone. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of just South Park. Also, worth mentioning, I wanted to say this earlier and then I forgot to. We talked about how like Mr. White's gang just shows up out of nowhere, seemingly from another movie.
Yep.
They are actually foreshadowed in the American cut. It's when Jackie is working out the day after his uncle's wedding, a radio is on and they're like, there was a diamond robbery last night.
Mm-hmm.
So they added that in, which was nice. It kind of gives the movie a bit more of a structure.
Mm-hmm. This all happened in a week, right? That's funny. All these things happened in 1 week before the week was up because Uncle Bill is only away for a week for his honeymoon.
It happened in the span of like 3 days.
It's a wild, like, if I was Ki-young, I'm like, dude, get me the fuck out of here. Like,
dude, I want to know the contractors that Elaine was using to fix the store.
Yeah, right.
Because it gets trashed like 4 times. And then like the next day she's like sweeping and she's like, yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but you know, I do appreciate that in the Hong Kong cut, she tries to get rid of the store too. And then by like the end of the movie, she's like literally saying the same bullshit Uncle Bill was saying. But no, the big final note that I had was going back to the stunt work in this movie. We talked about there are several great stunts, the jumping from a building, the hovercraft stunt. There's a nice stunt where he drives a Lamborghini and he cuts up the hovercraft with I think it's like a medieval sword or something. Yeah. So this movie, when it came out in America, it was heavily marketed as this is what you get. Jackie Chan is doing his own stunts. He doesn't need a stunt man. What you see is really happening.
This is Jackie Chan doing his own stunts.
Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. No. Jackie Chan, his whole shtick as far as Americans are concerned is that he doesn't have stunt doubles. Like I just said, it was what this movie was marketed on, but he does. He famously used a stunt double in City Hunter a few years earlier for a rollerblading stunt. I don't think he knows how to rollerblade, or maybe he was injured or something. He famously used a stunt double extensively in his next movie, Thunderbolt, because his leg was still, messed up from this movie.
Yep.
And he uses a stunt double in this film too. During the hovercraft stunt, whenever he's doing a jump over like a boat or something, it is very obviously a stunt double. Likewise, when he's driving the Lamborghini, he does a spin under a truck. And when he does the spin, clear as day, because they took the doors off the car, you could tell that isn't him.
I'll give him credit. He was battered. He was in a wheelchair by the time the movie ended. He used a stunt double for like two things.
To be clear, I don't have anything against stunt doubles or stunt men. Like, I have something against lying about it, though, on some level. I think that's, like, pretty cowardly. It's also just, like, false advertising, you know? And, like, yeah, that's movie magic, blah, 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 blah. That's not the point. The point is, like, don't lie about it.
Yeah.
And we know he filmed parts of the jet skiing stunt before he sprained his leg or broke his leg or whatever, you know? We can just either don't do the stunt or just don't lie about it. You know,
I feel
that's all.
That was probably the major pull of the movie, you know, like Jackie Chan, you know him from whatever.
Nothing, because it's your first time seeing him. Cannonball Run.
Yeah. I think, did we even talk about,
He's in the first one.
Okay. We talked about him breaking his ankle. Did one of us mention that he wore a sock? Did we mention that? I feel like
No, we didn't. You want to?
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Jackie broke his ankle doing the hovercraft jump, and his prop team painted a sock to look like his shoe, and he just wore it over his cast. Like, what a fucking baller, man.
That's movie magic, man. Anyway, Raekwon, I think we both know where we stand on this. I think that we both want people to watch this. I don't know. Do you want people to watch this movie?
Yeah, I think it's a good Jackie Chan movie, quality movie. If not anything, it's a fun movie, which is its most redeeming quality is that it's fun. That's all you could hope for. That it being
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same belief. I think, look, you're going to enjoy it. It's Jackie Chan getting the shit beat out of him and beating the shit out of people. So
yeah, he only really gets beat up like once. So
exactly. So, you know, well, no, twice, because they're like, "Are you okay?" And then he just replies, "No."
Oh yeah.
Are you okay? No.
On that enchanting note, I hope you guys check it out. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. And yeah, I mean, feel free to let us know what some of your glaring admissions are, and we'll be able to maybe talk about them on a future episode or what have you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. So yeah, bye.
Bye.